Oh, hi. Marella from Blackpack Homestead. If you've wondered why I've not been shooting a lot of videos on my own lately, stay tuned. Welcome to my nest. This is my nest. It consists of a body pillow behind me, a body pillow in front of me to put between my legs because of my back pain, my hip pain and my knee pain, and also my tummy pain. And one of my nurses, when I was in the hospital, called this my nest. So it's been called my nest ever since. And my nest is on the chaise lounge side of my couch. And it's so comfortable, and when you feel really bad, this is where I want to be. So, let's talk about why I've not been making videos on my own lately. Now that I'm straight and comfortable, I got my notebook, so hopefully I won't ramble at you too much, but I do have to get my glasses. Boys and girls, Marella ain't feeling good. Okay, first things first. Last Thursday was my birthday, September 20th. And I was going to film this on that day. But I'd been really sick for about a week and a half prior to my birthday. And you've heard me mention it when I'm in the kitchen about my Crohn's or my dietary requirements. So I thought today I would just explain to you what my diseases are. So I was so sick on my birthday I just couldn't film it, and I'm still not feeling good. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. First disease, Crohn's disease. It is an inflammatory bowel disease that can affect any part of the digestive tract from your mouth to your anus. The disease itself causes inflammation, ulcers, and strictures, affecting the full thickness of the bowel wall. And I do have terrible chronic pain. With that, I, have pain. Yes, I do take pain medicine. I'm working on herbal remedies for my gut pain. I'm down to one pain medicine where I used to take like several. So, a lot of the pain is debilitating. I can do only the bare minimum of what is required of me, which is of course taking care of our animals. So disease number 2, that would be ankylosing spondylitis. Yes, that's a mouthful. It is basically an inflammation of the I cannot say that word. The skeletal system. I can't say it. Never mind. And your joints. It's non-degenerative, and it does cause quite a bit of pain and a flare, but then sometimes I'm fine. The bad thing about what's been going on lately is not only my belly, but my joints have been really bad. The other diseases is iritis. It is another inflammatory disease that is also autoimmune. All of these diseases are classed under autoimmune system diseases. Iritis or uveitis is an eye disease that affects the pupil, the way your pupil reacts to light, and it opens in less light and closes in brighter light. Well, my pupil doesn't really close and open right because of the inflammation, and it's always smoldering, as my ophthalmologist says. And when I do have a flare, my eyes are way more sensitive to light than they normally are, which they're pretty sensitive anyway. And then I have to put prednisone in my eyes, and that is such a joy. That is like, for what the medicine does for you, the prednisone, getting rid of the inflammation and wherever the inflammation is, or allergic reaction, which causes inflammation, it fixes that, but it has like terrible, terrible side effects. But that's not what this video is on. We're talking about what's wrong with me. I also have a condition called gastric paresis, where during one of my multiple surgeries, they nicked or touched or moved the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve goes right up along your aorta, which the aorta is the big vessel that runs up the center of your body. And so that paralyzed my stomach, and I get to where, like, I will eat, and then the food will sit there for, 5-6 hours sometimes, and I'll throw up, and it's partially digested food of exactly what I've eaten, or just chewed up and not digested at all. Sorry for the grossness. So that is, the core of what is wrong with me. But let's talk about what is an autoimmune system disease, so you understand that. Basically, it's when the immune system is attacking the body. In most diseases, in most autoimmune system diseases, the antibody that most folks with autoimmune system diseases produce way too much of this particular antibody. It can get disease specific to like a 1-alpha whatever, but this is usually the first marker they look for, which is an increased level of a antibody that everybody makes. It's what attacks disease in your body along with the white blood cells. This is just one of the antibodies. You have many, many antibodies. And it's called tumor necrosis factor alpha 1. And for short, we call that TNF, because that is a lot. Tumor necrosis factor alpha 1. And if they find that this particular antibody is way high in your bloodstream, then that is a clue to whatever inflammation you're having going on. Mine starting with my gastrointestinal system, and then as time went on, it went to my joints, to my eyes. And that's not uncommon. Usually if you have one autoimmune system disease, it'll tack on some other part of your body. It will attack some other part of your body as well sometimes. Not always. I didn't know this in the beginning, and when it started happening to me, I looked at my doc and I was like, "Why didn't you tell me?" He's like, "Marella, if I told you everything that could happen associated with this disease, you would never sleep. All you would do is worry about, oh my goodness, I have a bruise here. Maybe it's blah, blah, blah." And he's right, I would have. So, what happens is that TNF, you have so much of it in your body that it has to do something, and it can no longer identify between healthy cells and cancer cells, or, virus cells. It just begins to eat the healthy tissue. And, excuse me, I've turned the page, make sure I'm on track. So they attack, any tissue. It does, just some attack specific to the bowel, like lupus is, I think it's a degenerative disease, that can attack your brain, it can attack anywhere. Sometimes I've wondered, through my experience with having Crohn's and then these other autoimmune system diseases, I just wonder if we connected all those dots, is that like one core disease? Like, it's not Crohn's, it's not ankylosing spondylitis, it's iritis, whatever, like some other name that encompasses all of these symptoms that I have in these different places in my body. I don't know. I've only had one doc that even mentioned that, and that was my ophthalmologist when I was diagnosed with iritis. And he immediately looked at me and goes, "Do you have Crohn's?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, then this makes perfect sense, because usually you don't get an autoimmune system disease like iritis unless you already have some sort of inflammation, disease path going on." Though I have known people that have gotten it and not had anything, So, and then they did the course of prednisone and they were fine and they never had it again. So I don't know. Everybody's body is different. So now that you have just a tiny understanding about my diseases and what autoimmune diseases are, just in general, I'll tell you my story. Okay? I guess I was like 4 the first time I remember having this pain, this severe aching, cramping pain right here at my waist. It would hurt right here. And I was at my mom's friend's baby shower, and I went to the bathroom, and it was like in a community center, so it was, the bathroom had stalls, and I went into the bathroom and I threw up, and I had terrible watery diarrhea, and my stomach hurt so bad. But the only thing I was worried about, not that I was sick, or not that, I need whatever. No, my 4-year-old brain was more worried about handing my mom's friend her baby gifts, because my mom gave the shower, so, being my mom's kid, I got to do a lot of little fun things back in the day, and I was going to hand the gifts to my mom's friend. And that's all I was worried about, because I love babies. I have always loved babies. I will always love babies. All I've ever wanted to be is a mom. But due to my diseases and certain complications, that didn't happen, but that'll be another Marella's Nest video. So that's like the first time I remember having this pain. And then, I guess I was about 8. The next time I remember, like physically have memories of this pain and where I was and what was going on, and that was the first time I remember seeing blood in my poop. And I was in the bathroom with my friend that, I grew up with, lived down the street. We played together every day. We followed each other to the bathroom. We were little girls. And when I wiped my bottom and I saw the blood, I was like, "Oh no. You can't tell anybody. If you tell anybody, I won't be your friend anymore." I was so afraid of, if I told my mom, what would actually happen to me when she took me to the doctor. But she never told anybody. My friend, we're still friends. For the next 4 years after remembering that first time I had blood in my poop, I'd be sick with nausea and vomiting and diarrhea, like off and on. It was like my mom thought I was like the stomach virus queen, But I never told my mama that I was pooping blood during all of these episodes. I kept it to myself because I was so afraid of what would happen. I would go to school. By about Thursday, I would be sick, throwing up, having diarrhea, and I would go home sick, and I would be sick all weekend, and then I would still be sick on Monday. I would go to school Tuesday, maybe make it through Thursday, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I would be sick. And this pattern went on for a while. And my mom was like, "Look, we're taking you to this little country doctor, and all he does is give us Finnegan suppositories. So we are going to go and see a new doctor. And I was like, oh my Lord, no. No, 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 no. By this time I'm 12, okay? 12 years old. And I'm thinking, oh my Lord, what are they going to do to me? You know, that was my biggest fear, is that some man was going to have to look at my butt. And my mom was saying, you know, you got to get your stuff together because we got this appointment at 8 and then I'm going to take you to school afterwards. And I was like, Mama, no, I don't want to go to the doctor. I don't want to go see this doctor. And so finally, after we argue and I cry and pitch like a wall-eyed crazy fit, I scream at her, you don't know that I pooped blood. And her face dropped. She sat down on my bed and she asked me why I hadn't told her this. I said, well, I'm afraid of what they're going to do to figure out what's wrong. And she said, well, we've got to figure out what's wrong, because if you're pooping blood, something's bad wrong and we have to fix it. And I'm like, alright then. Didn't sleep too good that night. And the next day we went to that new doctor, just a new family practice guy, and my terrible fears were realized. He did a rectal exam. My mom was in the room with me. I cried through the whole thing. Just silent tears. And he was telling us that after the exam, he looks at me and my mom and he says, well, I think we need to see a specialist, a gastroenterologist. And I'm like, all right, specialist. That's going to take months to get in. Months and months and months in my 12-year-old brain. Well, it didn't take months. I had an appointment the next morning. Sorry, I gotta go check the chicken. I'm cooking dinner for the puppies. Come on, Enoch. Hey, buddy, come on. And you too, buddy. Mama loves you. Alright, so enough kisses. That's enough kisses. Yes, the next day I went to the gastroenterologist, the specialist, and my absolute worst nightmares were realized. They did a flexible sigmoidoscopy, which is a 12-inch or so flexible tube that has a fiber optic camera and a light in it, and they put it into your rectum and look at the lowest section of your colon, which is called the sigmoid. That's why it's called a sigmoidoscopy. The bad thing was they wouldn't let my mom go in the room with me. No, I guess the bad thing was that they were putting this hose in my rear end and I was 12 years old and I was terrified. But my doctor thought that I would be, you know, act out more so and be more scared if my mom was there acting scared. Well, she doesn't do that, or didn't do that. She passed away this past April 30th. She would have held my hand and told me everything's going to be alright with her normal expression on her face. That's what she did throughout all of my hospital stays, all of my surgery. She saw 3 of my central lines placed, especially the first one she saw placed. So my mom went in the room with me while they were doing the flexible sig. I had those quiet tears streaming down my face. I was biting my lip, which I still do when I'm in extreme pain. And I bit my lip so hard it started to bleed. And while they were in there, they found 2 polyps in my rectum, or tumors. if you want to call them that, and they removed them while I was wide awake. It hurt. My tears turned into sobs. My blood was trickling down my chin. And when they were done and they, sent everything off to pathology, that is what the pathology from the polyps is what diagnosed me with ulcerative colitis. Yes, I just said ulcerative colitis, which is a inflammatory bowel disease that affects only the large intestine, the colon, and it does not affect the full thickness of the bowel. It just affects the mucosa, which is the lining of the intestine. And so for the next 4 years, I was on massive doses of prednisone, which is a steroid, and I even had to use this foam stuff that you put in this little syringe and inserted it in your rectum and put the foam in your butt. And it burned, oh my Lord, it burned like ever-loving fire. I was 12 years old and Mom was letting me do this by myself, after I proved I could. And so I didn't do it a lot because it hurt, which wasn't a good thing. But prednisone, I talked a little bit about that it had bad side effects earlier. I retained water. I swelled up like a balloon. I had the moon face. I went from probably 80-some pounds to 140 by the time I was 16. I started to get cataracts in my eyes. I had terrible mood swings. I developed acne. I'd never really had acne that bad in my life, but boy did I did then. I swear it sends you through like a crazy double puberty or something. So for that 4 years I did that, and when I turned 16.
Okay. Want to know what happened when I was 16? Well, then you have to watch tomorrow's video. I get to talking, especially about my disease, and I just go on and on. And believe me, I have edited the heck out of this video. So thank you for bearing with me this long if you stuck around. And if you did stick around and you're not a subscriber, come on and subscribe. We try to post at least 3 times a week, if not more. And we try to give you good content. We try to teach you things about gardening and raising your own meat and just about survival. My husband does survival episodes. Sometimes I'm in those, sometimes I'm not. And this new series about me and my autoimmune system diseases called Marella's Nest, and just any other thing else I want to vlog about is what that will be about. So don't forget to share this video with friends that you think might like this content, and don't forget to click that notification bell so you know every time we upload a new video. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a blessed day. We'll see you here next time at the Black Pack Homestead. Bye-bye.